I'll give that a try. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am just setting up my chat settings. Not for sure. Well, I'm going to leave it open for right now. I might actually switch it to where it's a bit more moderated just to keep out some potential spam. I'm going to wait and just give it a moment for others to join and just kind of see where we're at energetically before I change it. So welcome. Welcome to those who are tuning in. I'm really excited to, as always, I'm really excited to join and gather with everyone and come together in this experience of sound and come together in this experience of light. I'm probably going to start leaving my chat, leaving the live chat open to subscribers only. So just this simply will assist in filtering out a lot of the unwanted chat. So if you have not already, I'm not doing it right now, but I'm just putting it out there as an opportunity. If you would like to, just join in on the lives and connect in the chat, just please subscribe to my channel. And that way we can just keep some of the unwanted stuff out of here. So welcome, 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 everyone. So grateful to have you. And I hope that everyone is having a beautiful and blessed day. So everything, oh, welcome, beautiful. Welcome, beautiful. I'm grateful that you were able to join, and I'm grateful that you chose to dial in. And I'm going to give a minute for some of this to filter out, because there's going to be a lot joining that are going to drop back out. So Aurora, welcome, beautiful. Hello, sister. I'm so grateful to see some of my beautiful returning soul family. So grateful, so grateful, so grateful. And so where are we right now energetically? Man, there's been a lot happening in regards to timelines, in regards to time. There's a lot happening in regards to time. And the really amazing thing that has been consistently in my awareness is releasing these layers of ego and releasing these, it's like a kaleidoscope, releasing these lenses of egoic perception. So I want to ask really quickly, Aurora, are you and is it Nazia? Nazi? Are you both subscribed? Because I'm going to shift my chat. One second. Okay, there we go. Okay, Cindy, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. If you're not already, Nazia, please, I would invite that just so that we can keep all the spam out, the people that are coming here just to spam. So I would just welcome that, and then I'll take a moment just in case you're not, and hopefully allow you to do that and then drop back in. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And of course, if people do that just to be able to chat, I'm still going to block them, just so you know. I will still block you. You will still not be able to join in. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Speaking in regards to time. It's 222 right now on the viewers and the likes. Time has been shifting. And the reason time has been shifting is that we have been choosing, of course, how we want to experience our reality. And this is also, of course, available for us in every now moment, um, which means that everything happens on a molecular. We know this. And of course, this is something that if you are coming here from my Instagram, you saw that post earlier today where I was speaking into how our reality is, of course, dependent upon what we choose. And of course, this is also something I speak into quite regularly. But the importance of it right now has been so profound because the layers of ego that were assisting in creating my reality were coming from a space of, it was almost like I was dialing in to see what I could receive that would almost allow me to receive something from my environment. There would be, there was this level of seeking that was still there, and I could feel it, and I was able to perceive it, that in even my connection to others, yay, wonderful. Even my connection to others, I was witnessing in my soul pod, in my group space, I was witnessing where I had allowed myself to overly extend in a way that was carrying the responsibility of what I felt they were able to do and they were able to achieve, and carrying the responsibility of what I felt was available for them in mastery. And that was a big one because I was able to tell, and this is always there. It's something that comes up. It comes around for me. It's definitely one of those cycles that I'm consistently learning from, is how to not overextend myself and not overextend my energy. Even when I see an opportunity for ascension, if that's not that soul's path right then, it is not my job. It is not my responsibility. It's the same with healing. We don't heal anyone, right? We are the energy, we are the frequency that provides an opportunity for that person to mirror the frequency. They have an opportunity to step into an availability to see what it sounds like, what it feels like, what it looks like to be in a healed state or to be in a higher mastery state. We're meant to be the reference point, the influence, and what that vibration looks like, what it feels like. And if we're consistently, Betsy, yay, I'm so glad you're here, my dear. If we are consistently focused on trying to provide something for someone or for others so that we can feel good in what we do, so that it can validate us in some way, so that we can feel that we have somehow provided something, and we can then reflect back and say, oh yes, this is what I provide, this is what I do, which is not, it's not negating that. But what is it serving? Is it serving an egoic perspective that needs validation? Or is it serving to be and just to be? So this was big because there was a major shift that came from, and those of you that have been with me and worked with me know that anytime there's an opportunity for illumination, I will always invite in. However, it's not always meant for me to invite someone into an illuminated state. Even if that portal's open, if they are not able to see what is available, or they're not even that they're not able to, it's not even that they're not able to, it's not that they're not choosing to. And if you're not choosing to, then of course you're not going to be able to, because your awareness is somewhere else. That's not my responsibility. Just like it's not your responsibility. And so this wave of mastery has been extremely, extremely intense and extremely profound. It's also why I pulled away from social media, as you all know, for some time. And I'm slowly trickling myself back in. However, it's with a very, very conscious intention of how I just bring through that which I am. So today, what I would like to just provide through an experience, through the existence of what I am, is this connection that has been available for me, for of course, like I said, those that are in my soul pod, is this connection to Sirius. And what presented itself for me earlier was I found a really amazing video on YouTube. Actually, it found me. I was going to pull something up to share with the group that I had already viewed, and it was a representation of how waves oscillate, because waves are sound and vibration. And these were showing when you take a certain set of sequences, numerical sequences, uh, as hertz, binaural beats. There were different options, but this one was hertz, and it was showing, and it ended up being Sirius, which is, there was a couple of numbers. I think it was 23, that's what, 232.777. Well, 232 is 7. And so it'd be 777 if we reduced it. Well, the numerical sequencing that's been coming through from my group has been 7747 and 7777. And therefore, and we already knew that Sirius, there was some activated gateway there that was assisting us. We've been connecting into it. But this really just reflected that back even more so. And what I'm speaking into in regards to the oscillating waves is the vibrational sequence. So anytime energy, waves of energy are incoming or outgoing, how they flow, how they move, is what we would say oscillating. It's how they interweave. So when something is moving, like a frequency is in motion, it has certain pitches, which would be the tone that we hear, which is a pitch of frequency. And this is why we tone and tune our vessel. We become attuned to specific waves of frequency, which on a cellular, quantum, a microcosmic level, rearrange us. And our DNA is a set of codices, numerical sequencing. And when the numerical sequencing is able to shift into a higher tone, each time we rise in tone, it completely rearranges us on a molecular level, which is exactly what we are here to discover. A lot of times we get lost. And what I feel is caught up, as you've heard me speak into this, what I feel is somewhat an aspect of escapism in these cosmic aspects, where we're meant to harness, we're meant to connect into the cosmic, but the way that it's being approached is it's overlooking what's really here now. It's understanding that those energies are here, but it's taking it and it's painting this egoic picture of it, and then it's putting it out into the collective, and it's inserting a reality that isn't really the truth of not the fullest truth of what we're meant to experience. Yes, I feel you, Aurora. What's here? What is really here? What are we really here for? What did we incarnate in this density, this dimension, in this set of realities for? I would invite you to fill into that. Is it to escape, to come into this just to go into other realms? Is it to come here just to pretend that we exist elsewhere? Is it to come here just to bring in everything out there without the full mastery of what is here? And of course, we all play this game because it's a fun game to play. And interestingly enough, even, if we just speak into, let's just look at the grids and how we connect and do, in any way we connect in with the grids. What are grids? What are the energetic grids? What is the purpose of being present and connecting to the grids? Or are we already connected to the grids? If everything is frequency and everything is energy, and we're already connected to everything that is, and everything that is created through everything that we are aware of, then what is the intention to apply some sort of work, to do something, to provide something out here when the change happens from within here? So there's nothing can anchor Nothing can anchor in the physical reality without us. So we are the anchor. We are the vessel. Everything else that exists out there is a direct reflection and reverberation of what we on a quantum molecular level have provided, what our awareness. So the question came up in my post, are you immersed in seeking out there? Are you immersed in providing something out there consistently in your environment? Are you immersed in being in the environment more than you are on the quantum micro? Because the quantum micro, if we harness the molecular reconstruction, then we can reconstruct our entire reality. This is also how, higher, shall we say, higher scientific discoveries, when they harness the ability to shift molecules. So heat expands, cold contracts. This is also how spaceships, if you will, UFOs move in zero gravity, is because they harness the molecular composition around the ship. And since everything is based on a molecular level, then if you harness the molecular environment, then you can go anywhere. You can move in any degrees. You can move 360 degrees on a dime. Everything. The realities that we have agreed to experience right now are based in physical matter. And we are still in 3D. If we were above 3D or out of 3D, then our physical eyes and our physical environment would reflect where we are, right? So I find it very interesting how in egoically, because I played that game of being in fifth dimension and already being in fifth dimension and already being fully in fourth dimension and already being there. And I'm not saying that we don't have other aspects of our soul that exist in higher dimensionality. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that we don't receive from our higher dimensional aspects. But this portion of us came here to master something here that we haven't mastered, or that we've never come here before. Maybe this is your first time. And if this is your first time, then you have an opportunity in these energies. It's very, very powerful. And this is what I feel a lot of us have, and I use this term very lightly, star seeds. Those of us that come in that do not necessarily have a tie to this cosmic realm, but because of the ascension on a universal level, it's a beautiful opportunity to come in and now, let me reframe that, to provide whatever is available on a soul level, simultaneously while still having the experience that is here on this dimensional density level. So I feel like for some of us that have volunteered to come here, we have a tendency to get caught up in this egoic aspect of feeling like we're saving the world or feeling like we're saving others, and we kind of get lost in and forget the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is to be in a state, I feel, of neutrality, to harness 0 point, to master the dimensionality and density, and to master our reality. And therefore, we accrue good karma. We don't accrue negative karma. Negative karma are the choices or the singular realities that keep us stuck in cycles, which means that we will always come back here because a portion of us energetically just wasn't able to leave. It's stuck. And so in order for us to completely be able to come in and gain everything that is necessary for us to gain of ourselves in this realm and then leave this realm and not have to come back, because everything that we experience here, we inherit. And if we're not inheriting the highest, then we come back. because whatever is not our highest and greatest, we cycle it. We always think about it. There's something there that bothers us and it worries us and it nags at us. And what I've realized is on this journey is, even when you're on a path of mastery, is that ego. A lot of times we get there, all the other things are happening in connection with ascension, like all the cosmic signs and it, literally all the things, all the shiny things that you put in front of a person, and you put all these things up here, and the star mother, the star guilds, the ascended masters, all the things, all the things, all the things, and then it's like, what else? What do we do with it? And how does that serve our reality? How does that serve us? How does that serve us? So I would like to, as we prepare to step into this, and we already are, everything that we are here to master begins on a quantum. And if we're so caught up in the manifested, then we never really begin or apply our understanding of what we are manifesting. We think we know, but there's so much stuff unconsciously still coming up because we've never been called into a state of viewing our ego. No one is calling us into that. It's up to us, right? Unless we step into receiving another that puts that in front of us, which really, really assists, we normally won't. We normally won't look at our ego, and we normally won't make any changes. And change is wholly and ever dependent upon our willingness to change. Welcome, Lori. I'm so grateful you're here. And what I found, of course, is gratitude. And we know this, it's almost one of those things that's just so commonplace on this journey, that it's like, yeah, I'm grateful, but how is gratitude being practiced? How is neutrality being applied? And are you really facing your ego, or are you just caught up in the dance of life, or the dance, let's say the dance of living? You're living, you're doing everything, you're living, you're consumed with living, but you're no longer consumed with life. Because when you're consumed with living, and there's so many things that have been shifting in my group, and I mean so many, and it's been really intense. Everyone is has this heightened sense of awareness that is allowing them to view where they were making choices, or where they would have been making choices that would have led them into doing something just because they felt obligated to, or just because they had some belief, or one of those lenses, one of those kaleidoscope lenses that kept them into that divergent path. And of course, our path is our path. Everyone's path is everyone's path. And as stated, I realized where I have been stepping in too much and not allowing people to learn their lessons and have the experiences. However, I do feel it is also very, very powerful if you do allow yourself, if you request the mirror, and if you request the opportunity to have such viewing of yourself. It is an extremely powerful experience. And this is how we shift on a quantum, because everything that shows up in our reality is either showing up unconsciously, subconsciously, or consciously, or a mixture of all. And if we're so caught up in all the shiny things that are dangling in front of us, and again, this goes like activations. If you're receiving energetic activations, where is that energy coming from? What is it activating? What are you really feeling? And so it really asks us to go deeper, instead of just taking the shiny objects that are dangled in front of us and just receiving them just because it sounds good and just because it looks good. And the emotional entanglement, whew, man, that's been a big one. When we are consumed with the responsibility of helping others, We bury a burden. We carry a burden that weighs us down, and we don't even realize it. And we need replenishment because we're always consistently weighed down by the responsibility that we place upon ourselves. So therefore, not only do we become consumed by living, but we become consumed by the responsibility to help, to try and assist, instead of allowing others to always and ever be responsible for themselves and their own choices. And this becomes an entanglement on a quantum. And one of the beautiful things that was reflected back to me by an extremely wonderful being in my group space was that she said, you know, what I've realized is that as you walk this path and we're all here with you, we're like weights around your waist. And so as you're walking and you're mastering and you're rising, because you've been overly extending, we're like weights that end up dragging you down, not because we're the weights, but because that's the weight of the responsibility. And this was a direct mirror and reflection of me choosing to back away. And I say this because I hope it's an opportunity for you to see maybe where you have been putting yourself in a position to be weighed down, where you have been allowing yourself to remain entangled in a responsibility that is not yours, but you've accepted it as yours, and therefore you carry it. And it can be very easily covered up with the mask of assistance, of support, of serving, but it's really just an entanglement of energy, and it doesn't serve. It can't serve because it's entangled. So all of this holds importance because on a quantum molecular, if we're really, really going to change our environment, if we're really going to reconstruct anything, we must always begin with where it begins within us. Where are we choosing and why are we choosing? And if we're so consumed with living, then we just choose because it's easy. We choose because it feeds our ego. We choose because there's something there that we feel like we need because we're not willing to turn into the responsibility. It makes it much easier to turn away. And therefore we become a part of the reality. We are not the creators of it. And so I would invite you, as always, to allow this to be a doorway and an opportunity for you to view where you are allowing yourself to be and how you are allowing yourself to be. Are you allowing yourself to be consumed? Are you allowing yourself to be the vibration? Or are you consumed by the entanglement of vibration? And I feel as we move more and closer into fourth density, fourth dimension, as we consistently move in and out of, because that's what's happening. We're moving in and out of density and dimensionality right now, because we must, on a molecular level, we must be able to accommodate and experience the dimensionality and the density, whatever that formula is on a molecular quantum. We must be that, right? Therefore, everything is testing on a cosmic scale. The energy is consistently testing itself. It's testing itself. It's testing itself. It's seeing what fits, what doesn't, what fits, what doesn't, what fits, what doesn't. The same thing for us. So if we're so consumed by living, then we are missing an opportunity of witness as to what's really taking place. Therefore, if we're consumed by the idea of time, if we're consumed by the application of time, instead of allowing ourselves to witness what fourth density, fourth dimension really is, which is no time. And obviously, we're still experiencing fragmented time, which means we can't be fully in fourth density or fourth dimension because we're not yet in no time. And so this allows us to really kind of just dial down our ego, to step into humility, to realize that we do have cosmic ancestors and beings of light that are here to assist us. And the biggest message, and I do feel like Sirius is, as we connect into this tone, I do feel like there's going to be a spoken reverberation of what is stated here. And that is to allow the frequency to speak for itself through you. These cosmic beings, if you will, these light beings, they never tell us what to do. They don't tell us what we need to do. And you guys have heard me say this quite a bit. And one of the biggest messages at the Syrian High Council, when I asked the question, if the way that I have been feeling guided to approach this was in the highest and greatest, and I was allowing myself to view it from a state of not filtering through ego, not filtering through desire, just putting all of that to the side, or just choosing to not step into and through it. Actually, I don't push it away. I just know I don't choose to actually use that as an avenue of viewing. um and the message was very, very clear. It was that everything and everyone in the cosmos is a reference point for what is possible and what is. So, what's possible meaning everything is possibility, everything is probability. So, depending on where we choose to view, how we choose to view, that would be a possibility, a probability. It would be our experience based upon where we are focused. And so, if we choose to place our focus and our attunement on a quantum molecular, and therefore tune our satellites, our little mini satellites up of receiving, and open our channel, and no longer filter what is there through egoic desire or some egoic belief, then we can receive the highest and greatest always, because that's how it exists. It exists in its highest and greatest. So I would like to take a moment and just ask everyone to please take a few deep breaths. We are here to experience ourselves in the fullness of the light. Now, what is light? Lightness. The fullness of a lighter tone, of a more free tone, of a tone that allows us to hold an eagle eye view of all that exists, that is not limited by its linear. See, the ego, if we remain in one egoic personality and we never shift out of that, if the only thing that shifts within us is the picture, then how we speak and how we present ourselves is always the same. It never changes, which means everything that we do is consistently offering a cycle of ourself. Maybe we are channeling these cosmic beings, but what is the presentation of that to the collective? What is it of us that is providing the service? Because the message is just one part of it. That's just one part of it. Our existence on a molecular level is the totality of all. Our vibration, our tone, what we express. If we are not the existence of the state, if we merely speak of a state and we are not existing as it, then we are distorting. We are taking something that holds the highest and greatest and purest and is asking us to be involved in it. It is asking us to play the role that we speak of. It is asking us to present it vibrationally, tonality, sequentially in the DNA. It is asking us, and we don't answer that. If we don't answer that, then we are merely acting. We are merely claiming. We are merely wanting people to see something that we have validated within ourselves as being acceptable. But what's really changing? Just the picture. The only thing that changes is maybe it's a different scene, maybe it's a different person, but it's still carrying the same tone of egoic belief and egoic personality, which means you never cycle out of. And that's how everything works, is everything, of course, will always come back into us, and we will remain in cycles until we choose differently. And so our choice brings in our reality. So everything that's applied of activations, codes, that was another thing that kept coming through for me, is So providing an activation and providing codes, but what happens with the activation and what happens with the code? Of course, that's none of my responsibility. That's none of my business what anyone does with it. But I would like to express for myself that if I'm merely channeling codes and I'm merely providing activations, but I am not the living transcription of what is necessary to anchor the codes and what is necessary to anchor the activation, then it's merely just giving someone something that they really, of course, don't understand what to do with. Now, I also feel the slight nuance in that it's not my responsibility of what others choose to do with it. It is everyone's responsibility to rise in tone and to rise in frequency. However, I do feel that in service of the light, to speak what is applied through mastery really assists. Welcome, Fatima. So grateful that you are here. So with that, I would invite us now to begin settling in. And taking a few deep breaths and just settling into the feeling of all that is here. Settling into the feeling of your existence. I'm already being pulled forward. Allowing yourself to breathe in and receive yourself fully. Now, our reality and true shifts in time happen through us on a quantum molecular. It is not just something. Now, of course, if we're still operating through ego and if we're not actually facing where we are or allowing ourselves to truly view the nuances, the subtle nuances of our own understanding, then we will consistently be cycling ourselves in the same energy. And like I said, different people might show up, but they carry that same and similar tone. It keeps us comfortable because it's where we've chosen to remain in comfort. If others are showing up in your reality and they're pampering you, that's the word I'm hearing. If they're pampering you, if they're pampering your ego, if they're not asking, now I don't mean asking more of you as in you give them things or you give them attention. What I mean is asking you to reflect something of yourself that shows your own ascension through truth. Our realities and our lines of time as everything is shifting. And we understand that if one of us applies it, it does shift for everyone, but it is everyone's responsibility to anchor into, and it is everyone's responsibility to hold the perception which allows them to also view what is really happening through, of course, all extra senses, to perceive what is in the field, yes. To do this from a space of higher conscious attention and intentionality. Now, again, I don't mean leaning on the clairs, but I mean having an understanding of the sensations that are there, but choosing to rise and no longer filter the clairs through ego, allowing the clairs to be a support system for the consciousness that is consistently incoming, or the field of consciousness that's always available. That is our point of creation, shall we say. What is consistently incoming are the waves of light. And within the field of consciousness, we have an opportunity to mold that which we are. We pull from the field. We pull from the field, but we must also be in the state of viewing. We must be in the state of awareness. Our Our brainwave state and state of consciousness match each other. Therefore, our state of creation matches where we are viewing and how we are viewing. And our molecules on a cellular become reconstructed through our own application of sound and light. How are you recreating your reality? This is my question. How are you reconstructing the fabric of your soul? Now, I simply mean, how are you using, let's say that, how are you using the fabric of your soul to recreate yourself and your reality? And as you are breathing in, allowing yourself to bring through the sound, because every frequency, see, a lot of we don't hear, our physical hearing isn't yet attuned to the subtle frequencies and waves of light that are passing through. And therefore, if we allow ourselves to express, we can feel the reverberation on a cellular level. Calling in tuning forks from the etheric. Calling in bells from the etheric. And calling in crystalline compounds from the etheric. So as we know, if we listen to a singing bowl, if we listen to tuning forks, everything has a sound, everything has a reverberation. So if we were let's say we couldn't hear, let's say we had no hearing, but we could feel. This is where I invite you to tap into your heightened sensations and to reverberate the sound and to feel the reverberation. And simultaneously, we will be guided into a connection to the Syrian frequency waves, which oscillate, and in their oscillation, they create a specific dance of light, which is a specific geometric pattern. Just each numerical sequence provides an oscillating dance. So for instance, the Syrian 232.777, Sirius A, if we dial into that without even having to hear it as it is captured through machinery and played back to us, we can connect in. And what I'm even hearing is, even in the expression of light, a lot of times I know we have identified light language as coming from a certain tone, but what has really been coming through for me is any expression that is not limited by words, any expression of sound is a natural reflection of the tone that we carry in attunement to the frequency that we are receiving. It is not necessarily a language. It is not being spoken. It is merely a sound. And the reflects the oscillating tone. And simultaneous, beginning at neutral point, allow yourself to dial into the neutrality. Your heart is always neutral. It's very interesting how we believe the heart is a reflection of love. The heart is a reflection of neutrality. It is unconditionally neutral. It does not lean one way or the other. It remains in neutrality. It is the central point between the lower and the higher. It plays no role in the lower, it plays no role in the higher, but it is the gateway between the two. Which means it doesn't lean into one or the other. So beginning in neutrality. Try to bring this closer. I thought I had my microphone with me, but I didn't. And as from neutrality, if you begin in neutrality at the ooh, and then you want to rise, ooh, and back down. So just allow yourself to feel the range. As we go into this, just allow yourself to feel the range of the oscillating pitch. Ooh, ooh. And allow yourself to express that. Ooh. And to feel the reverberation. And then and allow yourself to play with the sound and feel the reverberation, just to kind of get yourself in a space of being in connection to the tone. And you can actually feel and you can feel it deepen in tone. You can actually feel it in your hand. For me, I do. I feel it pull down and I feel it come back up. And Sirius A. As we move into this, I am being invited to reflect because I'm just going to begin expressing. Just allow yourself to be in the presence of whatever is here now, Miss Louise. Just allow yourself to drop in and receive. As I begin to shift into the reason why I'm inviting this in right now is so that you have an opportunity to just allow yourself to really become familiar with how you are creating within the expression of the tone. Also simultaneous, what is your intention? What are you intending on a molecular quantum? What are you intending? That is a big one. This also goes hand in hand with a lot of times we receive activations and there is a title to the activation. And we say, okay, we're receiving this activation and this is the energy that's offered through that activation. Once it reaches us, of course, it is our responsibility, and it is our responsibility to match the tone of what we are receiving. Because if we simply receive from another and they are at a higher tone because they have activated themselves or they exist at a higher tone of healing, then if we are dependent upon just receiving an activation, just the same thing as a healing, is someone's going to heal us. We know that no one heals us, just the same as no one activates us. But someone can exist in an activating frequency. Therefore, it is your responsibility to match the activated frequency. If we just sit there and receive and we're not an active participant, then we're just we believe that whatever a person is offering is shifting us, but we're not matching with intention. So that is the invitation here. Beautiful, Louise. Thank you for sharing creation of your path. And as you place that intention within you, and you are within the intention of creating your path, allowing yourself, what we're doing, Miss Louise, is harnessing these tones, harnessing these tones and going into the quantum molecular and shifting our entire construction, because everything in a molecular is always moving. There's always, always, always movement. And if we harness and we step into true divine creatorship, then we harness the sequence and we apply the sequence. Therefore, it's not just out here. It's not just out here. And of course it's interacting with us, but it's up to us. Oh yes. And allow yourself to realize that either something is just assumed that it's going to reach you, or you are playing an participant in your own receiving. Because again, I feel like the direct correlation where no one heals us, no one saves us, no one activates us. We activate ourselves. So what is provided here is a range of activated tones where I am existing and choosing to exist and choosing to attune. But it is your responsibility to match yourself in whatever you feel is here. So it doesn't mean, of course, that you're not going to feel it, but it does mean that the application of what you feel takes on a different tone when you are the active participant. Because the thing is we can consistently be victims of our environment, and we can be consistently activated through the state of victimhood, which makes us codependent, because our environment rules us. What's happening with another rules us. What's happening out here rules us, instead of I love it, Fatima. I'm going to speak, if you guys are okay. I know I've been expressing a lot and we're about to step into this, but I would like to provide this if everyone is open to receiving. I know we've already began the tones, but I speak into this because it is very easy to get caught up in our distractions. For me, when I step away from this and I go inside, my path, what I am here as, I have no other responsibility. I have no other job. I don't have children. I do coexist with my family. However, I'm not responsible for my family. Even my soul, my fur baby. Now, there is a bit of energy exchange that happens there where I do provide food and stuff, obviously. But I've understood that if I get consumed with living, and not consumed with life, then I actually lose my lifehood. I lose my life force, because then I am consumed and I am a victim of my environment. I am attached, and something in my environment is holding me in a state of distraction. And therefore, I am losing my life force because it is being siphoned from me, because energetically, that's where I'm putting it and that's where it's going. And this is also why, especially if we are consistently exchanging with another, we must understand that if we go into a relationship or a connection with anyone, what is the intention? What is the intention? Are we victims of our environment? Yeah. And thank you. Are we victims or are we victors? Victims and victimhood. Victors, victory. There's always a state of prosperity. If we are a victor, then we are the one that is in control of our experience. And I understand the allure of the shiny and the allure of the cosmic. Even now we're connecting into Sirius. But we are also in third density, third dimension, and therefore the dimensionality that we receive and those that come into us, everything still matches where we are. And therefore, if we are to rise into anything higher, we must meet that higher tone instead of just assuming that because it's higher dimensionality, incoming cosmic frequencies, which keep in heart that everything incoming cosmically for us right now is matched in the same tone of density dimensionality. Our cosmic system and the cosmic system that we exist in is the same as this planet. We all exist in the same realm that is also ascending. Therefore, we can connect into other star systems that hold a higher point of ascension etherically, and we can connect into the etheric field. Absolutely. But I do feel like we get, and everything exists. I understand everything exists simultaneously. All higher dimensionality density exists simultaneously. The whole purpose of an entire system ascending is to meet and to go into that space of dimensionality and density. And so energetically, frequentially, we must remember that everything is frequency, everything is dimensionality, and dimensionality is density. And this realm is dense. Therefore, everything that comes in filters and it matches. And if we are to receive the highest of the incoming cosmic, then we must match that vibration and that frequency. And it's not just about being high vibe, it's actually a tone. Frequency is a numerical sequence of incoming waves. Therefore, our hertz, if you will, our tone, we have a set of subsets that we know, and then there are also those that exist that we don't yet know. And if we allow ourselves to simply just expand outside of what is known without needing to know, then we can feel what is available and we can receive it. So I speak into this because, especially as we're connecting into the Syrian gateway, I would like to request I would like to open up my channel. And remember now, as I'm saying that, there's a slight nuance. And what I'm asking is, since we are in the state of dimensionality and density in this realm, when we are accessing those of a higher dimensionality and higher density, how is that interaction working? Frequency. Just like dialing a phone, as I've spoken into, if we're dialed into the frequency, if we are matching the sequence, then we can receive everything on that range of frequency. Just like when you're receiving the picture on your television on DirecTV or whatever, you're receiving a wave and the picture is floating on the wave. It's dialed into a certain sequence and it goes to that channel. And that's exactly what's happening here. However, if we're not aware of what the numerical sequence is, if what the vibrational tone is, if we just assume that because we know it exists, that we're directly receiving from that because we know it exists, I feel we lose a little bit of the connection, or we're simply lost in the psychic belief. So I would invite everyone to dial in to the Syrian A, which is for this realm 232777 or 777. And there's 7 viewers. So please allow yourself to feel and connect into that sequence. This is also how your DNA recognizes, and I know I've spoken into this, but I'm going to speak into it again, how your DNA connects. That's how the signal of your codes, the codices, dial in. Because again, if you receive the codes, but there's no awareness of the tone, then it is filtering through ego. So let us, and it's beautiful. I will provide a link for what has been recorded. I will provide a link on my Instagram for the tone, the sound of Sirius A. There is a sound of a bell, and I'm not even for sure if I can recreate it, but I'm going to allow myself to dial in. It is the sound of oscillating tones, and it sounds like a bell. And it sounds like a bell, like a church bell, very similar. Doo, doo, doo. Oh, there's the doo, 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 doo that comes in. Doo, 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 doo. Doo, 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 doo. Doo, doo. So allow yourself, whoo, and I feel that I'm getting lightheaded. Doo, doo, doo. And it oscillates. So it sounds and then it flows. It sounds and then it flows. Doo, doo, doo. Doo, doo, doo. Doo, doo. Doo, doo. Doo, doo, doo. So we are connecting now to the oscillating waveforms of Sirius. And I would like for you to dial in now on a molecular. All you have to do is bring your awareness to your molecular quantum, and you will feel it. Do, 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 do. And taking this along with the intention. And we reconstruct our molecular. And we then begin to tone and tune ourselves to a frequency of higher. I'm also going to call in the connection to Sirius B. Requesting to tone, requesting and accepting the toning and the tuning. Allowing the self to feel the molecular reconstruction. And upon the attunement and the toning, we harness the plasmic waves, and the molecular reconstruction can begin. this doesn't mean that the molecules are not always rearranging themselves, and it doesn't mean that waves are not intersecting us even without our ability to be aware. But when we are aware, then we harness our divine creatorship and we activate the codices, the libraries of information, which releases, this is not past lives, it releases the tone, it releases the currents. And the currents are able to consistently reconstruct on a molecular quantum the reality of existence. Everything makes sound. Everything exists as sound and as waves of such sound, which within the wave, there's a vibration and then it oscillates, it dances. This is always happening on a quantum, but we are so consumed with living that we have lost the ability to, we've lost ourselves through the fragmentation of time, and we no longer dial into the quantum molecular because we feel that there's nothing interesting there. But that's where all the magic is. That's where all the power is. That's where everything begins. Everything quantum is directly reflected in the macro. So everything that's actually going on out there that we are dialed into, if we're not aware of what's really taking place on a micro, then we're not able to see where we are really connecting into and where we're receiving from. If we're always chasing, then we're never fully receiving. So the following is a full sequence of activated molecular reconstruction with the carrying notes of Sirius. And placing your intention and your activated participation, actively participating in their receiving, allowing yourselves to feel the reconstruction that is happening in your body, where your body is recreating itself within the tone and the sequence. And upon each gaining of tone, you gain an oscillating wave. And then just feeling the reverberation, feeling the waves, very powerful. And for me, my intentionality is for my molecular cellular quantum to match the highest wave and to reform, recalculate, if you will, calibrate and attune to the highest oscillating wave to reconstruct itself in a manner that will allow consistent harmony, balance, and consistent interweaving and dancing in highest divine expression. And now I express that which I intend. And these activated ketones begin to unlock and resequence the DNA. And whatever we think, whatever we bring in the process of this expression, the cells will match. Such just thinking, everything is always working out for my highest and greatest good. Or just being in a state of gratitude and expressing and allowing everything to match. So any dis-ease, any disharmony, any discontentment on a cellular will begin to reconstruct itself, and the little antennas, the little filaments will begin to match, and they are going to light up because you hold on a molecular quantum, you hold on a DNA, the capability to match and rise in tone outside of the normal regulated reality. And a lot of these tones, as stated, we have never, quote unquote, heard. A lot of times we'll hear our ears ringing, and we'll hear some very high pitched tones. That's what we're here. We're attuning. We're receiving. And allow yourself to tune, to tone, to feel, to receive, and see on those higher, it pulled everything up. So everything rises. So when you begin in neutrality and you rise in tone, it pulls everything up and matches. And then to solidify the lower, balance, neutrality, balance, neutrality. Opening in the wing space, opening in the heart. And the intention that you place within this Is how you are choosing to reconstruct your reality continuously. Remembering you're not a bystander, you're a byproduct, okay? All the tubes of the body, the nervous system, the blood, all the veins, everything is opening and receiving. Just taking a deep breath, allowing the waves to move through. And as the waves are moving through, remember, because you are the witness and you are the creator, what are you intending? What are you intending within the waves? You're not just a bystander and you're not just codependent. How are you actively rising to meet yourself within the waves? How are you actively rising to participate in your own creatorship? A lot of times we'll just express light and we'll just do things, but we don't really have an intention there of what is. And not only what is, but what is being created through us as we express. Our cells are always listening. Their little antennas are always up. The little filaments are always there receiving the vibrations and the tones. So we can say positive things all day long. But if the tone in which the positivity is carried on is not positive, if it's egoic, then the cells will consistently rearrange to match the belief. Which means nothing actually changes. We're just busy, and therefore we have more busyness that arrives, and therefore because we're busier and we have more busyness, we feel that we're accomplishing some form of shift. Because the movement is so focused on out here in the manifested, the already. How are you choosing to heal? How are you choosing to master? Are you choosing to escape? Are you using these shiny objects of cosmic heritage to distract you? The plants, the animals, they will move in and out of 4D sooner than us. This is because they have no ego or anything in the way of their own ability to move in and out of dimensionality. It's very interesting how we become victims even on this path without realizing we are still playing the victim, meaning we are still assuming, believing that if we know something, if we're receiving a message, then somehow it's happening. And energetically, it is happening. But which aspect of it are you participating in? Are you an active participant in the belief that it's happening, in the knowing that it's happening? Are you an active participant in the actual unfolding of it happening? Let's play around with the particles for a moment. Applying this sound, feeling a lot of higher heart opening up into the throat opening. And I'm feeling called, and also in the hips and the solar plexus, along the solar plexus. There's a lot that's being molecularly rearranged, which is extending outwards into the extensions of the body, the arms and the legs, the head. If we go into the quantum molecular and we play with the particles of matter, because that is our reality, that is our existence. At least for this now moment. How can we use these higher frequencies to recreate matter or to reconstruct matter, to give us an opportunity to not only move in and out of dimensionality with our awareness, but with our form? Remember, we're not given the answers from any place other than within ourselves. So that is a question that is here before us. If we play with the protons, with the neutrons, and we harness these oscillating waves, we can increase temperature, we can decrease temperature, we can transform matter. And not only are we here to master matter and physical form, but to move into a higher density of form. And then yet another higher density, which is less and less form, less and less matter, more and more of the no thing, the consciousness that can project itself as form. But it no longer needs a vessel of form to contain it for the experience. So as we play with our physical reality and our physical existence, let's go into the cell's nucleus. Dropping into the nucleus. From within the cell's nucleus. I'm already feeling everything beginning to dissolve. From within the nucleus, the temple of our existence. Let us open Within the cells are geometric oscillating forms. The protons, the neutrons, the electrons, dancing, moving, coming together to create different formations. And this is our existence. If we remove protons, everything slows down. Everything cools down. Everything constricts and elongates. What is the language of the electrons? What is the language of the protons? What is the language of the neutrons? What is the language of their connection? And beginning to see how they move, how they dance, how they connect, how they exchange, and how you, through your awareness, through not only observing, but now participating by directly, intentionally separating, bringing together, recombining, you can reconstruct your existence. And I am already beginning to feel my body cool down. It's also my intention to harness the cooling sensations that happen when the molecules are able to form and reform and to find themselves in that state of existence. And allow yourself an opportunity to have the experience that you are intending. And also feeling intense waves of energy. And allowing the cells to release any trapped energy that has kept you stuck or relating to yourself in some way that is not aligned, or well, it was aligned for you because that's what you were choosing, but was not aligned to your highest and greatest. Let's just state it that way. Remember, disease and distortion is an inheritance of belief. It's also an inheritance of an imprint. It's imprinted upon the soul. It is what is received through the gene code. It is there to be experienced when that time appears and you no longer choose, or you're not choosing to reconstruct your exchange through time. We are either a victim of time, we either lose ourselves through time, or we gain ourselves through time. And remember that time is also an illusion. So cycles of time will remain, and the shifting into no time will only become available once the cycles of time have been released, which means this is the importance of releasing the self from a continual choice that's based in ego. Yes, you allow yourself to experience the ego, and yes, you experience everything connected to it. Once you have gained an opportunity to view, that's where you're at. Allow yourself to choose differently and step through a higher doorway of experience. That way, you can begin to cycle yourself out of restricted time and more into no time. So I am no longer choosing to inherit the dysfunction of the cellular or the disease of the cellular in my genetic gene code. However, in order for this to happen, I must play an active participating role in what I desire to recreate. Which means every thought, every action, every aspect of being matches what I am intending. It's interesting how it works with us as humans. We have everything here for us right now. And instead of being grateful for all that we have received and being grateful for anything and everything that's here now, we consistently want to seek the next thing. We want to know what is the next, what is the next, what is the next, what is here next, what is here next. Remembering that anything we place a definition upon in regards to time, even the dates on our calendar, this is why the Mayan calendar ended in 2012, because that was the end date of captive time. We began cycling out of captive time in 2012 once the collective had chosen to rise into the ascending tone. So if you are still matching the system of time that is restricted by the Maya, the Maya, the creators of the false time, which is Maya, it's illusion, it's illusionary time. As builders of time, they implemented this illusionary reality. And if you are still adapting yourself and holding yourself captive, not only to the calendar and whatever you believe happens on this date and whatever you believe is incoming on this date, then you're holding yourself, even on portal dates, you're holding yourself captive to a false time. Even the relations that we hold with the sun and the moon is directly dependent upon our rise in ascended tone. Or else you will remain in cycles of moon and you will remain in cycles of sun. Still separate. Remembering there is nothing that can, there is no thing that exists in this dimensional reality yet that is higher than where we are. It may income, it may come in, but it anchors through us. Now, plants and animals can move in between dimensional awareness. But they came here with the same agreement upon the same range of consciousness that we did. They have a conscious agreement to experience this realm. They are just not bound by time. Tune into your body. Allowing yourself to feel everything that is moving coming into the body, allowing yourself to feel everything as your awareness moves into the greater physical, into the greater macro. Now, as you take a deep breath, where do you still feel limited in your body, if at all? Do you feel a place that is singling itself out? Do you feel something in some location that is only felt in that location but nowhere else? If that's the case, then you know that you have some energy entangled right there. That is being held captive. Now, energy can always move through, and energy can always open up, and energy can always expand, but that will always show itself if the underlying factor is not addressed and understood as to why it continues to show up. So just allow yourself, if that is present, to tune in and see why it's showing up. And you can use that next time or anytime you go into the molecular to feel where you are entangled on a quantum level, maybe who you're entangled with, maybe what location you're still entangled with, what belief, what thought you're still entangled with, because those two will call in the rest. It will call in the situation. It will call in the person. It will call in the location. And therefore, those experiences are a byproduct of whatever you think and whatever you believe. They always precede the experience. So if you just accept everything in your reality without having an understanding of why it's there, then you are still operating unconsciously through time or subconsciously through time, and you are not stepping into the active co-creator of your reality. And maybe that's a part of your soul journey. I don't know, but I'm just allowing there to be an opportunity to stand in that awareness. Now from the body, let us take a deep breath. And expand outwards. Keep expanding, keep expanding, keep expanding, keep expanding. Touching on the astral etheric. Allowing the astral etheric to filter in without placing any emotions, any thoughts, or anything in the way. Allowing yourself to feel unified into your field of consciousness. Feeling yourself unified into your macro. Remember, everything in your field of consciousness can only be harnessed in your molecular, and your molecular can only directly reflect what is your field of consciousness based on your own conscious awareness and your conscious intentionality. Light language is great. Understanding the cosmos is great. But it's even better if you allow yourself not to use all of those avenues as an escapism of your own reality. And even as I am speaking, it is weaving. A design. And this design is the waves of the expression. interweaving through the field of light. It is interweaving through the pillar and expanding, weaving, expanding, weaving as we are unified into our field of consciousness. And we breathe in our field. We breathe it in and we exist as what we choose to pull in through our conscious awareness. That is how we exist. If we consistently use our awareness as an avenue of escapism, all we're doing is becoming entangled in a psychic projection of another reality instead of allowing ourselves to actually truly shift on a quantum level. If we harness the molecular composition, the frequency, then we are able to rearrange our existence in this reality. And that's what we came to play in. That's what we came to discover. We came to see, how can we consistently recreate our reality in this form? Simultaneous, we also agreed to be on that train ride of ascension. But remember, you're the passenger or you're the conductor of the train. Lots opening. Deep breath in. Allowing it to anchor to the breath. Allowing everything to anchor through the breath. From this state, what are you feeling? What are you aware of? What are you allowing? What are you accepting? We call everything into our pillar of light, our central pillar. From your central pillar, you pull. It is your light force energy. Felt a lot of Kundalini movement upon the calling in, the ability for all to move in and up. Please take a deep breath. Settling into this state of being, allowing yourself to accept all that is here now, and allowing all that is here now to be accepted and to be allowed. With gratitude and with grace, all is received. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for journeying. Thank you for co-creating. Thank you for allowing yourself to be in the presence of awareness and the investment of actually no time, of neutral, and journeying from within the sound of the frequencies. I am so very grateful, as always. Hello, little fly. That we have had an opportunity to journey together. Hello, little friend. And I thank you all, always, for choosing to be present, for choosing to receive. And for anyone that is tuned in, that is trying to comment, if you're not able, just so there's an awareness, I did set the comment section to where only those that are subscribed can comment. This is to filter out a little bit of the nonsense that comes in. So if you would like to, dial in and receive more and have an opportunity to exchange in the comments, I am just placing the invitation there for the subscription. If you would like, you don't have to. But if you want to comment, that's just a part of the comments. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my goodness. I'm actually seeing some of the comments now. I apologize if I didn't see some of them. Yep. You are so welcome. You are so welcome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so very much, Fatima. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Lori. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Diane. I love you all. Oh, thank you, Irene, Cindy. Thank you, everyone that tuned in that I didn't see your comment previous, but thank you so much. I do want to, as we're closing this circle of connection out, the awareness that I am within right now is where I can tell from my own experience and egoic escapism, where wanting to be out in another realm of cosmic, or wanting to have some message or something come in that validates my existence. And if we're always dependent upon someone else answering, or some other, now granted, yes, I do still connect into cosmic high councils of light, those that hold a mirror frequency that allows me to reflect upon within myself. And I feel like there is a slight nuance here where when we are in a moment of intentional co-creation, where such as this, we're in a moment of intentionally choosing to not only activate within the tone, not only molecularly reconstruct our reality and molecularly realign to our highest line of time, whatever time and however that time looks through us, whatever that experience is, remembering that all experiences come in through choice. So this is merely a vessel of stepping into. And when you step into the vessel and you harness your highest choice, then you really get to experience on a molecular level how everything is reconstructed through you and how everything is shifting through you. And you're no longer consumed with living, you're consumed with your own life force energy. And I felt and I've realized where the entanglement prior and being in an entanglement of still feeling that I needed to bring something or show or provide something that I'm hearing the word compensated for taking responsibility, where there is something out there that is reflecting what's going on down here. So there's some being, there's some light being that's reflecting what's happening in our realm for us to validate our experience instead of us honoring and validating for ourselves that this is our reality and we're creating our reality and nothing happens by chance, it happens by choice. And therefore we don't need any of those beings to reflect what's happening here for us. We know what's happening because we're the active participant in what's happening. But if we're not really actively participating and we just say we are, and we're just playing the game and wearing that egoic mask of, oh yeah, I know everything that's happening. I know all these cosmic energies and I know what's happening. Man, do we get caught up in this entanglement of ego and we actually really don't know what's happening, but we think we know. And we lose a bit of ourselves to that egoic identity. So, and that's part of our path, though. I mean, that's what we choose, which is the really brilliant thing about it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just I speak into, from my own experiences, what I have realized. And of course, everyone does with that what they wish. Um, and I've really, really begun to experience some dramatic shifts in my environment, in how the connection with my own family shows up. There was still, even with everything that I've applied, even with everything that I've brought through, even with everything that I've spoken into, there was still some aspect that was not fully meeting me there. And I could tell it because every time I'd come in connection with my mom, there was always a form of dissonance. That's not her, that's me. And so there was something there within myself that I was still running away from. And I was able to see that I was still choosing to feel a certain way, think a certain way, or act a certain way, which was directly reflecting that aspect of me, not the whole fullness of me, of where I choose to exist. So there was still a part of me and it was still entangled. And so, therefore, now in the experiences, I am able to be there and just exchange in whatever way is available, because being family, not only do we still have an opportunity to be conscious and intentional with how we choose to exchange, but also realizing that every soul is on their own journey, of course. And with that, we are responsible for our interactions energetically. No one is doing anything to us, and no one is doing anything for us. And if we allow ourselves to no longer be dependent, codependent, victim, or perpetrator, where we are always blaming or shift blaming or gaslighting someone because we feel a certain way about something, then we can really allow ourselves to see how we've been coexisting in our reality. Because it's interesting, when people are coddling our ego, and we are connected with those that are comfortable, then we never view ourselves for the fullness of what we are. When we are asked or illuminated from a state of viewing those masks, then we can really see how we have been playing a role that keeps us in victimhood. We say we're not, just because we know these things, and just because we know these people, and just because we do these things, we think we're not still in victimhood. But our energy tells a different story. Our frequency tells a different story. Our voice tells a different story. Doesn't matter the words that we speak. The words are simply a reflection of our tone. And our tone is a direct reflection of our being. And therefore, if we are still split in vibration, or we are still consumed in some dimensional parallel self, and I could even feel this side of my body opening and releasing at this truth, because I'm expressing a truth that I am really, really experiencing. It's not just a truth that I'm just saying, I'm just like, oh yeah, this is what you should do, but then I don't actually live it. No, it opens up through me because it's truth that I am actually stepping into and exist as. So when I go back into that reality, which is already here, I don't go back into that reality. It's here right now. Everything coexists together. But when I go into that exchange within my reality, I have an opportunity to exchange in a way and meet wherever I'm able to meet. And that means meeting on common ground, not trying to bring something in, not trying to say something, and not putting up a wall and forcing there to be resistance, even though I know she can't receive me if I were to speak in this way. But I don't have, I mean, I'm not, again, the interactions there are very basic, very simple. And I can have those interactions and I can have those simple exchanges without needing it to be overly excessive or under. So, thank you, Fatima. Thank you so much for your presence. I love you so much, and I'm so grateful that you've chosen to be here each time and receive yourself. Thank you very much. So I have an opportunity when I go in, and there's times where she repeats herself, and there's times where she's always talking throughout the day. And of course, yes, can that be a little unnerving and a little unsettling when a state of consistent neutrality is something that is chosen? Yes, but is it her fault for what I'm choosing? No. Is it her responsibility for how I feel? No. Am I responsible for everything that I choose? Yes, including what I perceive, including what I feel, including what I think. Therefore, there is no one out there that is responsible for me. No one. And there's no one that can say something to me other than what they speak. And whatever that is, it's my responsibility for how I receive it. So if I choose to believe that the way that she's speaking is affecting me, then I'm not responsible any longer. I'm shift blaming. I'm shifting responsibility onto someone else and saying, but it's not me. It's not me, because I'm great. I'm good. And because I'm as good as I am and I know what I know, then it's your fault. And it's really not, right? It's really not. And if we're not willing to see all the mirrors that are available without judgment, because that is a mirror of me, that's an exact mirror, and that's an example of where I could choose to exist. And as soon as I shift blame, that's exactly where I exist. I am and no different. Energetically, vibrationally, I'm no different than where she is energetically, wherever she is energetically. And it's not about what she knows, it's about what she is energetically, vibrationally, right? Same for all of us. And if I choose to match her by not upholding a state of neutrality and gratitude at all times, then it's me. It's me. How I receive anything is me. How I speak everything is me. Therefore, it's all me. And I've realized, and of course, yes, realizing where there's a lot of escapism happening. It's happening. We are escaping. We're harnessing things in a way that gives us an availability to escape the truth of what is really here now. What is here now? If we think that it's some cosmic macro, then what's that? Then what's happening on the micro to match the macro? Because they're interchangeable, they're happening simultaneously. So if that really is taking place, then where did you receive it in the micro? What was happening in the micro? What passed through your awareness? What did you receive? What did you become aware of? What within yourself shifted? What was able to shift because of what you were aware of in order to receive what was in the macro, in order to perceive what was in the macro. So everything is always happening simultaneous to everything else. And I really feel, and I'm going to close this out by saying this, I really feel like there are a lot of inserted realities that people are connecting into, that they feel, and I say inserted realities, meaning there's a lot of psychic belief that projects it out there, and they're just consistently following this same reality. And because more energy is pulling into that, because again, victim pulls victim, ego pulls ego. So you're going to connect into that aspect of yourself somewhere. And for me, the one thing I've realized is that the higher I allow myself to rise in tone, and the more that I view the ego, the less people choose to be within my presence. It's very interesting. When I was really heavy in ego, I had so many more people, because that's where everyone chooses to be. So there's a ton of energy there. Because when we're in ego, we have an opportunity to see all the different aspects of our personality show up through other people. And we have an availability to see all of that simultaneously if we're willing to view it. But obviously, we're usually not. So I find it very interesting, and it's It doesn't mean, because again, this goes back to a reflection of when you're on a path of mastery, which means you're mastering your ego, you're mastering your reality, you won't require as many mirrors simultaneously. You will require a few mirrors that are simultaneously reflecting that aspect of personality that you still have not released from. So if there's a lot that's coming in through a person all the time, and there's all these different things, and there's all these different messages, and there's all these different presentations, and that's where you're consumed, you can actually really see where even all the egoic personalities are coming through. They just look different, sound different, and have a cosmic name to them energetically. And therefore, if we, and it's also, again, that is also directly reflective of choice. So energetically, whatever cycle of choice we were in directly reflects what is there for us. So that goes right back to that. I feel like depending I feel like depending on how you view it, because I'm not speaking about friends. I'm speaking about mirrors. So mirrors show up in friends, but mirrors are not ones that we connect to, but there's something which friends are mirrors too, but this is not friendship circles. These are actually those circles of people that we choose to connect into, or those people we connect into because we're receiving something, which is also friends. But just for clarity, when I was speaking into that, it wasn't referring necessarily to friendship circles, although those can be added in there. It's more so the circles of community that we go into. And for me, the communities have fallen away the less and less I've required a reflection of my own ego, because that's why people show up. That's why everyone shows up. That's why everything shows up, is to reflect back to us where we are and what we believe. And that's what gives us the experience, because the thought comes first, the belief comes first, the experience comes second. So whatever we think, whatever we believe, so we attract, right? So if we're not willing to shift out of beliefs, what we attract never really changes, which means we never really change. We're staying comfortable, which means we're never really viewing ego. We're not really healing. We think we are, just because we've layered some new belief on top of it and some new filter on top of it, which means we're still in our own bullshit. We're just putting a new mask on it. And we're not actually energetically, not truly shifting. It doesn't mean now, because we're all in the same planetary sphere, everyone's going to feel what's happening energetically. Where they are anchored in their feelers means where they are anchored in their awareness determines how they interpret it and through what filter it moves through. Yeah. So for me, I no longer hold friendship circles. I don't have relationships or friends. Those for myself just fell away because it was no longer a necessary energetic exchange. And so now it's about everything I see and everyone I connect with, even those that I'm connected with in my soul pod. Everything is about viewing what is here and what's available for me to step into as a mirror, what's available for me to step into an ego, and what's here, what egoic loops, what cycles of time have shown back up for us to view. Because the only way that we can rise into higher tone and experience the higher dimensionality, which is just a higher density of ourselves, a higher viewing of ourselves, a higher experience of ourselves, is to actually access that by no longer being bound by a cycle of egoic time. Because if we're still in loops of egoic time, then we're still just viewing the same thing just through different people, and it just keeps showing up, and we exchange different stories and different viewings and different cosmic energies that have presented themselves to us. But is it really the different energies? Are they really showing up, or is that just what we believe because that's the belief that's being passed through the psychic, and therefore you believe it because they believe it because you believe it, and therefore the channel is not really openly receiving what it thinks it what it it's the channel isn't really open and clear. The channel is convoluted by psychic distortion. And if we're not willing to release ourselves from any entanglement of belief where others are reflecting back our beliefs because it keeps us comfortable, then we'll never discover the fullness of our own channel. And we'll always remain in some cycle because we find it. Now, I'm not saying it's not fun to play in the field, because it's interesting. We get to discover different experiences of ourselves, and I'm never saying not to do that. But when you have an awareness that it exists, you have an awareness, which means you have an opportunity to shift, fully shift. See, the reason why we don't shift any other time is because it's not in our awareness. Nothing moves into our awareness to provide us with a reflection of what's available. So when we receive the reflection, we don't step through that doorway, we deny ourselves a higher experience of self. And of course, everything energetically will match our belief. So if we were really intensely dedicated and devoted to a belief, then we will very much intensely and energetically feel it. And we will consistently cycle ourselves within it, instead of cycling ourselves out of it, which is exactly what we're meant to do. We're meant to keep moving and keep changing, and we're meant to keep evolving through time instead of cycling within the fragments of time or the illusion of time. So fourth dimension for the density is playing. It's here. We're shifting in and out, but because everything happens on a quantum molecular level, everything we have to be able to shift on a molecular, which means energetically, density wise, we must be able to shift. And the only way we can't shift is if we're still bound by something on a molecular level that does not allow us to move, because we're still stuck. Hence ego. Anything of an egoic belief and desire, any belief, anything that you've held throughout your life, or even that you've gained and you are not willing to let go of, is going to keep you bound in a cycle of time. And you're not, and molecularly, energetically, you can't move because you hold no awareness, or I'm sorry, your awareness is bound by that one cycle. It is not able to move in and out of or within. Now, we can use, or if we want, even if a person was, let's say, remotely anchored, you can remote view, and you can use your clairs to view what is happening. But does this mean that you yourself on a molecular move? No, because you're too dense. You can't move. This is what happens when psychic entanglement becomes the belief, and then therefore there is no actual molecular movement, which means there's no true moving in and out of density. The density remains the same, which means the dimensionality remains the same, which means the only thing that moves is a projection of awareness, and then it comes back in and it's moving in and out with its psychic feelers, which is wonderful. It's a wonderful tool to use your clairs to, just to see what's available with the shift. However, if conscious intentionality is not brought into the picture, if the field of consciousness and the molecular reconstruction does not take place, then you're always stuck reaching out, reaching out. You can do it for a little while, but then you have to come back in, because you can only extend yourself for so long, and then you must come back in. So that's the nuance, and so that's what's here. And I understand that everyone's everyone's going to choose what they choose, which is the beautiful thing about it. It was just 2101055, which is 10. But it's here. And my question is, are you going to choose to remain comfortable? Are you going to continue to choose to hold those connections and go into those psychic distortions simply because that's where everyone else is? Just simply because it allows you to feel validated. So are you choosing validation and being absorbed in the consumption of where everyone is living, where you're choosing to live, where you're choosing to believe that your reality holds something for you? Or are you going to take back the reins of your conscious creatorship, which actually is what the awakening is about? It's about awakening and remembering that we are no longer, that everything that we have understood about ourselves comes with conditions and limitations because it has been placed upon us, some belief, some understanding. Everything has been inherited, and beliefs are inherited. And so if you're not willing to let go of beliefs in any form, then you're still inheriting a version of this earth that keeps you bound by the cycles of death, not rebirth. So ascension is actually the direct opposite of the soul coming into this realm, because the soul comes into this realm and goes through a very narrow passageway and is born through the womb. And when it dies, everything leaves to the crown. And as we ascend, everything actually comes in through the crown, and we expand and rise. It comes in through the crown, we expand and rise. We comes in through the crown, we expand and rise. So instead of our soul leaving out through our crown, everything of our soul comes in through the crown, and therefore we inherit everything of this earth, and we are able to rise with the earth. If not, we stay bound by some old Akashic template, and we consistently will be bound and cycling through death. So thank you all for receiving. Thank you all for allowing yourself to receive what is here. And I know some of these aspects have been spoken into before. And the reason why they are here now is they are here now to offer viewing in connection with everything that's here now. So it's an opportunity to review and to reinvest and to recalibrate where you're at. So I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. I am so very grateful, as always, to have had this opportunity. Thank you for receiving this little add-on reference point, and for allowing everything to come in and to find itself within you. I look so very forward to receiving everyone again in the next live. And yeah, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful to receive you all. So I send you all my love. I'm just making sure I haven't missed. I want to make sure I have to refresh the messages, because I do end up missing some, simply because for whatever reason the chat doesn't refresh. So I think I've gotten everything. I think I've gotten everyone. Thank you, Aurora. Thank you, my dear. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let us close this moment out. Shia tekiani siturushia turkun mariasia rukutkoriasia markutkoriasia takariasia namarkosia arkaskiti yasia tokorgatiki mesia tokoriasia takamarkosia arkaskiti mariotkariasia namarkotkorgasia suktuk arkaski 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 su 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 su. Everything that was necessary to be received has been received. All is here. All is here. All is here. Thank you all. Until next time. Adonai.